Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 391st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 29th, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today, along with our co-host, Mayra Keshe. And of course, Mr. Keshe is the head of the Keshe Foundation and will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. We welcome you back to another session of knowledge seeking and see how we learn from each other. In the last week teaching, we started a new progress, a new development, and we'll carry on with the same. As we promised, we tried to get the KFTV online by today, but the technicians tell us they need one more day. By tomorrow they finish up. From next week we should be 100% online, back on live teachings right across the Keshe Foundation TV. We enter a new era of teaching, as I said before, And the beauty of it is, for those of you who understood it very easily last week, we taught you about the ganses for years. We taught you about the soul for 2 or 3 years, 2 years plus. And now, from the teaching of 387, if you listen to it in detail, we gave you an insight in what is to come. And from 390 knowledge seekers session, we brought what was taught in 387 to the physical dimension in understanding the process. So there we see the process of teaching has a rhythm, and we're going in that direction. Now, from now on, we try to bring the soul of the man and the soul of physicality and the physical condition of life for man in a space and himself and on this planet. So after 7 years of 8 years of teaching, now we're coming to the point that where the physicality comes into work of what we call universal creation of matter, and then transmission and transformation into the light, conformation into energy, which we had in ganses, and now the fields of the ganses, and the production of the fields of materials, which brings a new dimension to bring the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man, and the motion of the both in the depth of the universe becomes applicable and now understandable. So in the next few months and maybe a couple of years, we go into this direction. Now that we understood the soul, now that we understood the physicality, how we change matter into energies, now we are bringing to show how the two can work anywhere in the universe. And this brings a fundamental change for a lot of us. Coincidentally, we didn't plan this for thousands of years to be here, but coincidentally, a lot of things has said to be in line for the release of the new technology. We see as one of the most important factors which kick the world peace and world peace treaty and understanding of the man's knowledge and opening of the universal community to man in the dimension of the soul of the man and the physicality. We will start in the next 7-10 days. Gradually, you will understand why and how. And in a coming time, gradually, we build you up to the position of understanding how the world leaders will join us as operating gradually as one. In a way, we bring the world leaders, the knowledge seekers, and the geopolitics and many other kind of diplomacy into one. This will not happen overnight. The first stages of this is on the platform for the next 2-3 weeks. In the background, there's a lot of work to be done. And we wish those who are part of this endeavor a huge success. They need it. And in that process, we will see a huge changes in the direction and the dimension which the teaching and the technology of the new sciences will take hold and take shape. In that respect, we carry on with the teaching. While we are doing other things in the background, to bring the teachings in line with the present science and in line with life of the man on this planet. Last week I opened a new chapter for you. About maybe 8-10 weeks ago, I asked as one of our knowledge seekers in the laboratory of the Keshe Foundation in Linz if he can make such a thing. I gave him an outline roughly of what I wanted, in a way what you're seeing now on the screen, because we would have had to look at the physical condition. What does and how does this system look like? Rick, would you like to put the screen, to share the screen with the image of last week, that we can work on it? In the process of the teaching of last week, I opened a new dimension in many, many ways for you to be able to, what I call, be constructive and be able to work to bring practicality in your, what I call, the knowledge of the soul and the knowledge of what I call existence. And in that process, we can gradually build up this process, which means we start understanding what is happening. And what I think is the best thing to do is to start from where you already done things, you have seen things, you have seen the result of this parameter on the table. Go back to very first things you learned, and then you see how this picture completes itself in knowledge. I tried to explain part of this last week. If you remember, at the very beginning, we had this with us as a main component of the body of the man, which allows man to be dynamic. Red tissue cells depend on the existence of the copper. And if you remember, when we put the copper with the zinc plate, one of the first things he gave us was CO2. The connection for neural system, the connection for line of communication in the body of the man. So we have seen this work. So we know this set of the cup is there while it's doing everything else to produce this. The reason I do this is for you to gain confidence in why and how this system is set up, that you understand it, because you all have done bits and bits of this in your work. And you have been with it, you have worked with it, you have done a lot of other things with it. The other thing we have seen with this, if you remember, in the World Cup, the One Cup, One Life, we had a very simple system. In One Cup, One Life, that we saved many lives around the world, we had this with us. If you remember the way it worked, nano-coated copper, the spiral copper, and the zinc. In other cups of life, we went through the same process. If you remember, in the beginning of the process, we learned how to make sugar, as we said last week. And then you see the existence of dynamic sugar. A lot of people say, why don't I use G for galvanized? Because I chose C as the point of reversal combination of materials. You can put anything as galvanized. We call them composite materials, and that's why I use C for. In the process of life, as you change the what we call the inner materials of what we call plating or galvanization, we can do other things. We can galvanize on gold. We can galvanize, we plate gold, we plate silver in our structure. We can plate any metal and get a combination of what we call point of reference. That's why I use C as a composite, not as galvanized. Then, if you looked at the operation of all this, you have seen in the past that we used the combination of these four in a very hidden way to create sugar and blood at the same time, which meant we produced the energized blood. We managed to increase the what we call the strength of it. And in that process, we created more and more materials and conditions which led to creation of life, support of life. Without the presence and existence of the CO2 in the air, there would not have been possible the creation of amino acid. So, but there is one more important thing that you all have noticed. During all these processes, doesn't matter how you took it, you continuously produced different type of amino acid. Which means in the process of putting the material on the surface, the process of life started. The amino acid created over this process where you created the CO2 is different than the amino acid now over the same plate, because now there's a mixture of amino acid of blood. There's a mixture of amino acid of CH3. There is a mixture. So your amino acid on the top is a different amino acid as you had in individual sections and systems. In the process of understanding more and more, where it came to produce the physical conditions and using the copper in the process of the copper and zinc, or the process that not many of you ever tried, nano-coated zinc with the copper itself. You always use the nano-coated copper. None of you went to change and check what happened if you use a nano-coated zinc with a copper. You did zinc with zinc, but this now opens a new dimension. This now, with the use of calcium, potassium, magnesium, and other factors which you had in the water, and presence of silicon and everything else, creates amino acid on the scale that allows life to be created within this planet. How you change the factors between the magnesium and the potassium will decide on how material will react, what kind of animals it's going to be, and especially in the presence of the sodium. Then, if you increase the magnesium in a specific way, you create vertical life. If you increase the what I call potassium in the presence of sodium, you get vertical life. In a way, we know this factor, but now we can put it in a larger scale. We say if one has an extra Y or X chromosomes or this and that, it'll be a boy and a girl. In the world of creation, the whole chromosome depends on a base energy. In the space, if I change your body into a different material of the base active condition of the radioactive material, which is the potassium, you will find totally different kind of life. Magnesium and the sodium combination will give us different combination of white, red, hard, solid, soft tissues. Then we understand the process of creation. Small changes in the percentage of one or the other will create different tissues. A slight modification in salinity in the presence of maybe copper in a nano state or zinc in nano state, but a condition of interaction of the field of the gravity will give you calcium as a bone structure. In another universe, in another condition, it could be copper. You could be walking with the bones, which are made of copper, or what we call bone as a holder of the structure of the physicality. Then in this process, then we understand how the world can exist without any bone structure as such. Everything in the world of existence can be explained within the conditions of the couple universe. You just need to know which material to move in what position, to what percentage, what gravitational point. How do you change an energy cup into the matter cup? That's the wisdom. This is why I explained to you in the past, with one drop of water in a fish tank, I'll show you the fish. Now you understand that fish comes from this cup. Because we understand the process of manipulation of the fields. We understand the process of manipulation of the different field strength of the field. We understand the process of interaction and manipulation of the fields. Then, as we see, with one drop, we create a man within the womb of the mother. With one drop, we can create a man in a fish tank. In the fish tank of the universe. One drop, that drop is the soul of the man. Physicality of the man will be, in a way, under contention anywhere in the universe, but his soul shall not. Because he has no dimension of lower strength physicality to battle with. The soul of the man works at the higher strength as a common denominator with the soul of the creator. So it decides where it manifests itself, how it interacts with the strength of the soul of the creator. Now you understand how I have taught you everything about the creation in past years. Now it's your understanding. Now it's your comprehension of interaction. What happened when you appear on the planet Zeus and there is no iron and there is no copper? It means you don't have existence. It means there is no gravity. How do you create the condition between the two forces of the creation, between the matter and energy, what we call field forces, gravity, and inertia? What is the connection? And how do you change the gravity as a field force to inertia as a matter state of existence? Life, intellect, and existence is not exclusivity of Earth. Never been, never shall be. You all understood that, for example, in the boundary of the Earth, energy packages are created from the interaction of the field forces of the Earth and the Sun. And receding and approaching the center by the inertia of the planet, it changes to the matter state in different parts of the planet itself. Everything does not fall on the surface of the Earth. Some of the energies can only convert within the structure of the physicality of the planet, where in that position they become gold and silver and whatever else. It's the same. The energies within the structure of the universe, in the interaction with what we call the physicality of the body of the man, the brain of the man, create emotions and physicality within the structure of the brain of the man. Not everything is arms and legs, not all interactions are the same. Then we understand how we are in communication with the rest of the universe. it was important for us over years to gain you that confidence, to get you that confidence, for you to understand the totality of the physicality of the man. In so many ways, it was important for us to be able to gain your trust by your own doing, by your own actions, by your own understanding of the process of creation. If I told you today, if you put the copper and a plate of zinc, you will make CO2, you would have laughed. Impossibilities. But now it's possibilities because you have tested it. You have done this for so many years. You have seen the amino acid. When we put in front of you the copper and zinc, and you created CH3, you gain trust to it. Now the cup of universe is no difference. Unless you're in denial, or unless you are those who is a hypocrite, or you have no knowledge of the science of creation. Those of you who deny the existence of the cup of universe, the way it's been explained, it means you have no understanding. And it means this is not your time yet. You are not matured yet to understand the process. Because over years you have tested everything of this, what is on this plate. In so many ways, if you understand the difference and the process of creation of gravity and interaction of the fields of the plasma's gravitational field with the matter state creation of the fields or inertia, then you have reached halfway through understanding the totality of the process of the creation, where to be energy and where to be matter. You will decide this condition. It's you who will have the say on which you can transfer, which one you can transmute, and where you manifest yourself. The point of the interaction and creation of what you call physicality is understanding the process of the inertia within the plasmatic field of the universe. And we understand how the inertia of every element, like its mass, is connected to the environment of its magnetic field, gravitational field forces. One is of the higher order, one is of the lower strength, but in interaction and conformation connected to the gravitational field forces of its environment. In so many ways, we can confirm or we can understand a new principle, where what we call the plasma's gravitational magnetic field and inertia gravitational magnetic field. In a way, what we call the magnetical field, when it expands and dominates, you deal with the plasma. Where the gravitational field and its strength in respect to its environment dominates, you become matter state or inertia. This will play an important part in understanding of how and when, through the strength of field of thoughts, you can manifest yourself as energy or matter state or physicality. And both are connected to the dimension of the field strength of their environment. if mankind understands this, mankind in so many ways have solved all his problem of being young, never getting sick, being able to eradicate everything in the body of the man by the man himself. Where through the higher energy, as you transform and go through the transmutation of the field of the inertia to matter state, you can adjust everything to the existence in comparison to the environment of life. Be it on Earth, be it on planet Zeus, be it on Mars, be it on any galaxy or universe or unicosmos. Because then you don't work only by the level of the amino acid of the man, but you work through the strength of the inner sanctums of the fields of the amino acid of the man. Then, in respect to it, in every environment, he can become physical or stay in a plasma state. What we call resurrection. Because you resurrect yourself from the energy fields of the universe into the matter state. Or from the matter state, you resurrect yourself in a dimension of energy, of plasma fields, in a dimension of the higher order, in the expansion of the fields of the universe. As I said, now we start teaching you to understand the interconnection, the understanding, the power which the man has within an inner sanctum, the soul of the man. This has been one of the biggest problems for the scientific world on this planet for time of the beginning of understanding the terms of inertia and gravity, or what we call plasmatic fields interactions. We know it is there, but we connected it to what was and what is. But in reality, it's understanding the order of the strength of environment, and you can become tangible anywhere. And if you get your inertial magnetic fields in the right order, in the inertial section of the work, you can become a liquid, you can become a solid, you can become a gas, or you can become what we call the first order of the creation as a plasma. Mankind has got everything in its cycle of understanding the wrong way round. We come from plasma, and interaction with inertia, and the strength of the inertia, we become what we call solid, a gas, or in a way, whatever we want to be. So in reality, mankind has no choice but to understand more about the facts that plasma is not the fourth state of the matter. Plasma is the first order of state of matter. This is where the interaction of the plasma with the inertia creates the condition of what we call tangibility. When we move from the inertia of the universe to the inertia of the planetary or environment, then we become matter state. In totality, mankind has to move into a new dimensional direction. What happens now that you are in the field strength of all these nano materials which you have put in the system, how would you interact? How would you consider and work? Because is it, or can it be, or would it be possible to understand new dimensions? Because now you have a totally different work in this place. What happens to this? What happens where the nano ion interacts with the ion itself? in the presence of copper or zinc. Now you understand a totally different game. In a combination of many, many factors allows you to create many, many cells, many, many configuration of cells, and then interaction of the cells with themselves and their fields of their fields with themselves and creation of new matter. Accommodation of creation of organs, accommodation of creation of interaction with the environment, which dictates sight, vision, in a way, touch, fingers. And then you understand why the fishes don't have legs in the oceans and man doesn't have a fin on the dry land. The condition of the environment, which is created in interaction with the dimension of the inertial strength fields, and at the same time with magnetic gravitation of the planetary system and the environmental system, dictates what creatures you will manifest yourself at when you become tangible. Then you will understand that the man will survive anywhere in the universe without the need for oxygen, without the need for food, without the need for any medicine or energy pack, because it adjusts itself into the dimension of the interaction of the fields of the universe and the point of manifestation. So man understands that he can live anywhere within the universe without the gas mask and the oxygen pack and the uniforms on his back. But it needs to understand the interaction of the dimension of his souls and the dimension of the physicality and the strength of the inertia of the point of manifestation. In a way, man already knows this, but he was blind to it. When you leave the physical dimension of this planet and you say you have died, but your soul takes free into the dimension of the universe and then manifests itself in another dimension as another planet or creature, then what happened to it? Hasn't soul done what we just explained? Now it's time to take a new shape and dimension in another position in the universe according to its strength. According to the nuclear scientists and the development of the technology, every time a man dies, energy, plasmatic energy, equal to 18 nuclear Hiroshima bombs are released, at least in what we gathered. So you can imagine what life this energy pack will create in the universe when it attains its condition of interaction with its physical dimensions in the environment of its manifestation. The Cup of Universe is a collection of the teachings of the Keshe Foundation in the past 20 years. Because now, every element in your understanding up to now of what we call the table of elements can be added to this universal plate. What you see in the periodic table in the form of a nano, in the form of matter, in the form of liquid as a gas and a salt, and whatever added to this creates its own conditional dimension. Do not forget that the man's, what we call this table of elements, is a fraction of the elements in the universe, not maybe even 1% of. The periodic table needs to be much, much bigger, in triple digits and 4 digits elements, number of elements. Man only knows the tip of iceberg. The iceberg is huge. It's the size of the energy interactions of the universe, not what man sees on this planet. This is why gradually man will say he has found new elements in the universe. But in fact, they've been there. They are there. From every interaction of every planetary, every system, a new element is created that the man has not even understood. Now, if we understand the process of the creation and interaction of the different magnetic fields and different dimensions of the strength of it, mankind will become wise to understand that there is no limitation in the dimension of the creation and the creator. When you look at this cup of universe, thanks God, we have taught you enough over the past years that you have gained confidence in its creation and application. In so many ways, we are putting another pieces of puzzle which has been hidden from you through the lack of understanding of totality, step by step forward. In so many ways, mankind is getting ready for what I call another way to look at its own creation and what has been created amongst and within him. Go back and decides to remove one of these elements and see what happens. What happens to the emotion? What happens to the strength of the soul of the man? What happens every time you change different number of a spiral? Would 10 spiral gravitational nanomaterial and 20 spiral will have the same effect on the rest of the cup? Yes, it will. Of course it will. It's a different planetary system, a different structure of gravity. Then if you understood this, then you understand how to create every cell of the body of the man. As the body of the man is in a vacuum of existence of the nano structures of many, many elements. Is a mayhem and a soup of the fields of the universe. In so many ways, I want to explain something very interesting to you as I brought it up in the Bucharest conference. Here you see 5 elements, nanocoated in different structures. And you can see the interaction of this basic 5 and some bits from the fields of the universe we have, which we have named differently, creates different cup of life. If you remember in Eindhoven, I opened a box with 27 different elements, position and size. And I opened it and I said, this is an empty cup of universe, empty box of universe. Now you understand how we were creating energies from it. As every position and every nano coating and every shape creates a different dimension, and this cup is not empty, but is a cup of life of the universe, very much like the cup we show. It took me since 2011. Now we are in 2021, 10 years for you to show you the empty cup of universe and the empty cup of universe. From a box to a cup. The knowledge always has been there. It's man we had to teach for him to understand. The cup was not empty, was full of fields of the creation within the universe. Now you understand how the technology has always been at the reach of the man, but man was not aware of the technology. "10 years to open this box for man to understand." The process of creation is amazingly simple. The process of understanding the process of the creation is a little bit hard for those who do not understand. In so many ways, mankind now has to understand that while his physicality exists itself, he has a control system as a soul of his physicality, and the totality of interaction of all the fields of it has a soul which works and interacts with every dimension and beyond. Where, in a way, the physicality of the man is the interaction of the fields of the soul of the man with the inertia of the interaction of the fields of his matter, which creates the manifestation of its physicality, which in a way work outside in for the planetary system, but for the life of dynamic life of body of the man, it works from inside. We bring the rays of the sun, we create the fields, and then in interaction with the center, we create what we call the inertia and the gravitational magnetic fields, where in the process of the body of the man, the field comes from inside, and the interaction with the fields of the environment outside, and in condition of interaction of fields of inertia, manifests the physicality. So when we tell you, you travel with the dimension of the soul in any condition in the universe as it interacts outside will create different manifestation. Could be any shape, any color in the universe. Because the source itself, when it interacts with the fields of its environment and interaction with the balance of the fields and creation of manifestation of field strength of the existence, the inertia of the environment dictates how the fields of the soul of the man will manifest itself in that environment. I have made man in the image of myself. Does not matter where the man is, because it's the soul of the man is the image of me, not the physicality of the man, which is image of me. This is understanding and knowledge of the creation. Man does not change just because he puts different frogs on it. A clown, or a pig, or a doctor, or a black or white. It's the soul of the man, which with his interaction, with his environment, dictates the condition of the manifestation. Then ask yourself how, what, and which strength of the field of the soul creates the life in the shape of a pig or a dog or a tree. as said many times. When you look from outside in the dimension of the strength of the soul, you don't see the father and the king, you don't see the man and the donkey. You don't see if that brain belongs to a king or a pig, even though the pig is much wiser than the king. Because he understands how to interact, to survive within the structure of his field in this environment, where it does not kill and it supports his life, his body is available, left foot. But the king has to kill because he knows no other way. And he has lower soul than a pig, as he's changed and taken a life of another life. This is why we always teach, we always promote the understanding of the knowledge, where a pig is higher than the king, because his soul has chosen a different life. So shall be even the tree is bigger than a king, because it never kills. Does not possess as what is agreed with his environment is his possession. Now we understand. Now we understand how the soul of the man manifests itself in the different dimensions in the universe, where the soul of the man sits as a plasma. It interacts to the dimension of the fields of his environment in a magnetical direction. And once it reaches a point of the balance of interaction with its environment, it creates a dimension and the strength of the fields of what we call the inertia strength, and then manifests itself with the interaction of fields of its environment. Otherwise, the soul of the environment and the soul of the man, as long as they don't interact, they shall not create the condition of acceptance of physicality in the strength of the presence and manifestation, what we call inertial condition. I hope in today's teaching, I opened, in a way, I peeled another, what I call, layer from the onions of the knowledge of the universe. And step by step we take you deeper to understand, to get to the seed, to the center, to the essence of the creation, to understanding the knowledge of the creation. Mankind has a lot to learn, as long as he understands the process and can take steps to further understand what is the next step, where does it lead to, and what is functionality, and what is the response and the reason for its creation at that point on the spot. We go through a break and we come back and we answer some more questions. But now you have seen the process of 10 years of teaching, how we brought the matter, we brought the soul, and now in the cup of universe, we show how the two interact. There is another step to come, which, as we said, is depending on the inertia of the environment, where that inertia of the environment is the soul of the creator. Mankind is not ready for this topic yet. Then we understand. Rick, would you like to go on break and we'll come back?
Sure, Mr. Keshe, thank you. We'll have a brief commercial message here and be back shortly.